Okay, not trying to be trendy, but it's both sunny and windy. Continuing on with what we've been seeing, looking at the book of Enoch. This came to me after doing that reading last night, as I thought about the term being turned, to turnt, as some of the young brothers and sisters are saying today. We've looked at some of the slang today before. We oftentimes look at the spelling spell, and we look at the words that we use, and we find clues, and we find new meaning and new definition, really new to us, but it's always been there. So this also goes along with what we've been looking at also in the lessons about resentment and the agenda of the fallen ones to turn us one against the other, as we saw exemplified in last night's reading. The many weapons that we used, or that were given to mankind by the fallen in order to give us things to use to turn against one another. Men versus men, women versus women, and then, of course, women versus men, and vice versa. And the goal is to get us to not like people. Do you like people? Neither does the devil. And his whole agenda is that you be turned. It's about being turned, a being turned into a demon, to turnt. When you think about turn up, now I know that there's other applications for that particular form of slang, or that particular slang term. I've heard people say, especially when I was down there in Atlanta, with my peoples down there, they were saying that it related to turning up, as in turning up a bottle. Of course, the first thing I thought about was volume. Okay, turning up volume as in the level of sound or decibels in music or in something that you're listening to. There's volume by that definition. There's also volume by the definition of volume, meaning the space that a substance, solid, liquid, gas, or plasma, or shape occupies or contains. The volume that you learn in geometry or in mathematics and science. Then there's a third definition for volume. One book of a related set or series. So it's about turning up your volume and turning you from one thing to another, to make you part of a series of new beings who have been turned from the human beings that we're supposed to be, and to turn you into the demonic beings that the fallen angels, in their disdain for man, have planned for us to become. And we see this exemplified in the transhumanist agenda. We see it also just exemplified in everyday interpersonal relationships that have become very impersonal relationships due to the technologies and the weaponry that has been given to mankind by way of the fallen. So this is being turned, to turnt, a being turned into a demon. Consider the example of Darth Vader. Okay, for my Star Wars fans and science fiction aficionados, the bad Jedi, or the Sith Lord, which is what the bad Jedi are called in that story. The Sith Lords are out to turn you to the dark side. Okay, this is also synonymous with what you find in the vampire and werewolf movies, who wish to turn you into one of them by way of a bite. Okay, interesting how both so-called mythological monsters, and we understand that they're analogous to demons and they're not as mythological as we've been taught, but they both turn you by a bite. Okay, Agent Smith from the Matrix trilogy, the stories that became the movies of the Matrix. Agent Smith, the antagonist in that film, Neo's nemesis, turns you to him. You remember the famous scene, you know, how he touches an individual and he turns them and he says, me, me, me. Well, we also find this in Denzel's Fallen, relating back to the Enoch that we just read. The passing on or the transference of this demon by way of touch. Okay, individuals being turned by way of touch into Azazel. Basically, that's exemplified in the movie The Fallen. What we also find in Scripture, the hearts of many shall wax cold. Now that's a funny term. It's an old English term. Let me just pull it up right quick. The hearts of many. And that term wax means turn. Okay? Okay? To turn cold. And again, it's about causing you to turn from a loving, sharing, caring being into an unfeeling, unnatural, mechanical, robotic being. Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Okay? And that is the goal, to take away the love, to cause the love to turn cold. The love in our hearts to turn cold. Interesting, you have also, these things came to us, and by us I mean to this body, because I share with you what's given to me by the Holy Spirit. I thought about the name, Turner. And not to, I know some beautiful, lovely people with the last name of Turner. That's not the point. But when you look at Turner, broadcasting, you think of the casting out of demons. It can be cast in. To cast something simply means to throw something or to project something. So broadcasting or broad throwing of what? Programming. Turner Broadcasting. Again, it's about turning you. It's interesting when I've had the occasion to look at Turner TV, or TNT, or TBS, or the other stations. And again, the Atlanta connection, interesting. And Atlanta, of course, to represent Atlantis, the new creation, or the symbol of the new world, the going out of the old world, whereas Detroit represented the old world, the old way of the United States, the industrial age, going into the new age. It's interesting how Detroit and Atlanta had certain similarities. I've often said that in my travels to, from, and around both places, that Atlanta reminded me a lot of Detroit, and a lot of Detroiters transplanted themselves from the Motor City into Atlanta, or Atlantis, especially around the mid-90s, still when they was having the Freakniks and things of that nature. When I was a younger man, that was my point and purpose for going down there the first time I went. But I've noticed that what Detroit used to be, like a hub or a upwardly mobile city for black folks, especially, now Atlanta is that today. And it's been that way for some time, but it represents the new era of where the black dollar has power, and the upwardly mobile black professional is able to get in where he fit in and make things happen for himself, where Detroit was once that. A lot of people who are from Detroit can trace their lineage to down south, where folks from down south came up to Detroit. So again, it's a turn from one to the other. And the turn is not only to turn us from human beings into really mechanical or robotic beings, like you see exemplified in movie after movie after movie with the transhumanist agenda, Kurzweil and all of the rest of them, what's done in the music and the auto-tune, and even going all the way back to Roger and Zapp, Computer Love. This plan to turn things from the old world into the new Atlantis, okay, is all synonymous of the individual being turned from a human being, having feelings, having a connection to the Most High, and then to turn you into a robotic being. Whereas now people used to walk and see each other on the street and be able to speak and have conversation and interaction one with another. You never know who you may meet, sister or brother, that the Creator is sending in your way in order to give you something that the Creator wants to say, and He may say through that individual. Well, now we spend more time looking down at our technologies. You know, if you use public transit, or even if you just happen to be out and about at the mall or places where people are milling about, people are not in tune one with another any longer. They've been turned, their attention is also turned to their machines, and they've been one now with their machines. How often do you leave the house without some machine on your person? And the fallen angels not only gave us these machines in order to help to tear apart our natural closeness and need one for another, as iron sharpens iron, sister builds brother and brother builds sister. Well, these machines are also used to transfer spirit energy, the spirit in the machine dynamic. Okay, these are essentially bodies that are being used. They are temporary bodies, because the machine itself represents a body, like the android, you know, the droid phone. Again, it's named after a robot from George Lucas's Star Wars sagas, you know, from the story of Star Wars. And it is a temporary house for a spirit to travel through. It's temporary because it goes from the machine then into you. And now you have more invasive technology than ever before, always sold with the idea and the lie of, well, this will make your life easier in some way, shape, or form. This is going to make communicating easier. The lie is that this will help you get closer to your loved ones through using these machines, through using these technologies. You'll be able to keep more in touch with human beings. That's what we're told. When in reality, what it has done is caused the love of many to wax cold. Technology has become our medium. When you say media and medium and Medea, okay, I'm not talking about Tyler Perry's Medea, that we can lump that in there too. I'm talking about Persia. But these ancient pagan societies where the conjuring and communication with spirits was the way to get ahead, okay, and this is the root and the foundation of all ancient spiritual beliefs, okay. And one reason why the Messiah came was to loose us from the bondage of that belief system. Well, now we have returned, okay, as it was in the beginning, or as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Well, now we're back to that, and we're using the medium of technology. A medium is also another name for a psychic, a person who is used to help to bridge the gap, to be the middle person, medium, the middle, okay, the middle person between you and the spirit realm. Well, these mediums that we use is also serving that same purpose. It is the middle man. So the spirit is housed in the technology temporarily, only so it can transfer to you and cause you to eventually turn. That's the goal. Now again, just like with the songwriter's secret and other things that we've examined, the strength in the spell is in you not knowing, in you not being able to tell. That's the strength in the spell. So we take the strength out of it by recognizing its heinous intent, even as a tool. Some people say, well, you know, on some levels that's true, but again, we have to look at the intent of something. The intent of the gun was used, or was intended. It was intended to be something to destroy mankind with. Now, when we have occasion to take these tools and use them other than what they were given to us for, that's rare. But again, that does not change what was intended. So we have to know what was intended, and we can't pretend. Okay, we got to know what they intend. So the go-between, the spirits and the machines, is the mediums that we are using. So interpersonal has now become impersonal. Again, looking back at computer love. Was it prophetic? Was Roger and Zapp given that idea by the Most High in order to share with us, to help to push mankind forward in this transhumanist agenda? Or was there a malignant or malicious or malevolent intent behind all of that? Okay, to help to turn us from human love to computer love. Nowadays, I've never heard more people say two things: that they don't like church and that they don't like people. And I understand why people say those things. I'm not condemning people for feeling that way, but I'm saying, like all things, just look at the intent. When you realize what it is that the devil's trying to get you to do, don't help him. Please don't help him. Okay? Excuse me. Okay. Now, you can also look at the Incredible Hulk. Now, when I was a kid, I remember the cartoon, The Incredible Hulk, and it used to scare me and fascinate me at the same time. I can still see myself running away from the TV and into the closet to get away from the Hulk, but still being fascinated with him, the way he could jump in leaps and bounds, and fascinated with the song. And the song began, Doc Bruce Banner, and of course in the modern day adaptations of the Hulk, we're dealing with the sun. So I looked at Bruce Banner and the David Banner dynamic as being indicative also of this turning, because of the banners are turned into the Hulk by way of anger. And so can you. You can also turn into the Hulk by way of your anger. You will destroy things. You will cause destruction around you, because the spirit of anger has found you and clowned you. Now, again, we've talked about anger a number of times. Some people love their anger spirit so much they will argue in defense of it and say, well, the scripture says, be angry and sin not. Or the scripture says that Jesus was angry. If you angry like Jesus, go ahead with your bad self. You're a bad motor scooter. But if you're honest with yourself, you'll say that the majority of times that you allow for anger to take you over, and this goes for all of us, it is not righteous anger. Most of the time. It is very rare when we are able to step into that type of anger, or to walk in the shoes that Jesus walked in, and to have the type of anger that Jesus had. Because again, he got angry. He didn't get mad. We get mad, like the Mad Hatter. Okay? Mad as in Mad Magazine, meaning crazy, cracked, wacko, out of your mind. And that's what happens to David Banner and Bruce Banner. And we're also looking at the generational curse of the anger spirit. Again, it is a form of fear, and fear is not of God. So therefore, by that definition, neither is anger. And what you may want to do, for all of you scholarly folk, is to look up what word was used there when you see be angry and sin not. Look in an older version, or an older translation, and see what word was used there. There's a difference. Okay, and it's not the anger that we as women and men most commonly show one to another when somebody steps on your toe, or somebody smacks into the back of your ride. Okay, that's not the anger of Jesus. That is related to the spirit of fear and the spirit of pride. Let's continue. I don't know, I can't tell you how to react when those things happen, but I can tell you, don't help the devil do what he's attempting to do. And what he's attempting to do is to cause enmity between me and you. It's supposed to be enmity between the offspring of Eve and the offspring of the serpent. But what the goal of the fallen angels has been, since they touched down on Mount Hermon, is to create enmity between us, to cause us to destroy ourselves. Okay, to be turned, to be too turned. And even if it is from turning up a bottle, what do you turn up a bottle of? Spirits. So you become turned. You're turned as much as Darth Vader was turned to the dark side. You're turned as much as a vampire is turned into coming into contact with that demon. You're turned as much as Agent Smith when he reaches his hand into a person who is caught up in the matrix. You're turned as much as David Banner or Bruce Banner when their anger triggers them to house this demon being that turns them into a whole nother thing besides a human being. In The Manchurian Candidate by Richard Condon, Raymond Shaw turns into a robotic maniac killer via subconsciously programmed triggers. So we are turned away from each other by subconsciously programmed triggers in the world all around us. Okay, things that trigger us into housing a energy in motion or emotion, which will change us from being where we're supposed to be, okay, in the spirit of power and the spirit of love and of a sound mind. And by using the spirit of fear and the spirit of anger, the spirit of rejection, the spirits of resentment, we become turned. In the zombie flicks, one who is bitten, again, this biting, this letting of blood, it constitutes and causes them to turn into the walking dead. The life of a thing is in the blood. Okay, so we become turned, okay, by way of allowing ourselves to give way to these spirits that we've come to know as emotions or energies in motions. These are entities in motions, emotions, and they turn you. Denial, pride, lust, greed. In Lord of the Rings, Smeagol was turned into what he was by way of greed, resentment, rejection, trauma, and isolation will turn you. Be ye transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. Transformed into Autobot or Decepticon. You will become that which you were not. You will turn to something new by way of the renewing of your mind. Now, your mind can be renewed a number of ways. Trauma, years of pain, can renew how you think for the worst. Okay, so be cautious the things that you allow to settle in your mind, especially over time, because they will turn you. Everybody likes to think that, they are who they are because that's who they chose to be. But that's not the truth if we allow ourselves to see the truth without pride, without denial. So you're saying ain't nothing wrong with me. It's something wrong with all of us, and every day we're supposed to wrestle with it. And it's this flesh suit, okay? And the brain at the top of this flesh suit is flesh as well. And so we allow for ourselves to be entrapped in our own thoughts of who we are and what we deserve and what happened to us. And you create your own reality, okay? You create your own matrix, your own residual identity, okay? Your own alter identity. You become turned when you go on social networks and you call yourself other than who you are. We've all done it. I did it. Okay, when you aspire to become a rap star or a singing star, oftentimes a star, oftentimes you will change your name or your name will get changed. And if you become so in tune with that new personality and you begin to chase that dream, you will take on that new identity. Okay, and you may even see yourself as a supreme being. And again, you have been trapped in a false mind state. You've been given a strong delusion, a reprobate mind, and this will change you. This is why it's always good to do some retrospection. Retro meaning to go back, spectacle, spectate, to look at. So to go back and look at, well, how did I get here? Okay, how did I get to this place? What first caused me to be the way that I am now versus the way that I used to be? Are you the same as you've always been? Now, it's good. Change is not a bad thing. Change is good, in essence. Okay? But sometimes when we turn, it's because we've been torn. Right? Sometimes that's why we turn, because we've been torn. Okay? Torn, as in torn between two lovers, not being able to make a decision. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. You're torn. You're not sure which way you should go concerning any number of things, concerning what you believe. It's better to be hot or cold and be wrong than to be lukewarm and to be in the delusion that you're right. You'll be torn, and eventually you'll be torn apart, and you will become something new. You will turn from being torn. The challenge of change. It is a challenging thing because we get comfortable in the things that we've gotten used to, even when they're not good for us. This is something that we all suffer from. If we can be realistic and go into a state of admission, okay, the first step in going to the hospital, being able to admit you may not deal well with change. Well, you might as well, not be mad, scratch your head and get glad, because change is going to come. Change is a constant in the universe. So there is a challenge of change because we resist it. We resist where the Creator is trying to take us because of where we want to go. Because of the do as thou will mentality that we've been taught in this society is a strength, when in reality it's a weakness. Because the more you fight against your destiny, there is destiny. How does free will and destiny work together? The more you fight against your destiny, the longer it'll take you to get there. But you're going to get there regardless. The free will is the way that you get to your destiny. According to Scripture, God knows the plans that He has for you. He has plans for you even before you came out of the womb, according to Jeremiah 1. So, therefore, His will shall be done. Your free will is how you get there. You're going to get to your destiny. Okay? So, it's better, and it takes maturity to do so, because when you're young, you're so full of vigor and vinegar. Sometimes you're fueled by being bitter, or you're fueled by being angry, and you think this is, that fuel is high octane, but it gets low mileage. Once you mature, you can begin to look at things from an unbiased perspective, not biased about what you want and about doing as thou wilt, but looking at, well, where does it look like the Creator wants me to go, by the things that He's showing me. Okay, what things is it that the Creator wants me to know versus what I want to know. Okay, and once you see that path, or once you are able to hear that small still voice and follow that pathway, you can stop burning a lot of time and unnecessary energy and sometimes money, and get in line with His will. Okay, be in one accord. Okay, be linked and connected by a cord straight to the source, and then be able to get to where you're going without exerting so much force. Okay, you will be able to see the course that He has laid out for you, and you can lean with it, rock with it, instead of going against it. Because the doors that He opens, none can close, and the doors that He closes, none can open. So, movement and improvement, the challenge of change. It's not always easy or comfy at first, but by the time we settle in to what? To His will, the benefit becomes clear, and clearly a better fit. Benefit. Bene, from the Latin for good. Okay, beneficial, benevolent. Benefit is a good fit. So you might as well slip on into it. A turner, one that turns. A turn or a switch. Okay, so you have to be able to adjust, to make an adjustment, to make a turn. Okay, it's not in and of itself a bad thing to make a turn, but you want to make sure that you're making the right turn. Turner, from the old French tourner, to turn around or away, to draw aside, to cause to turn, change or transform. Turn and torn. The Greek tornos and the Latin turnus. It's just a little difficult to see out here. Sorry about that. Okay, but you see the Greek and the Latin here? Let me get it up there. Okay, tornos, tornus, tornado. Quite a turn in a tornado. But again, you don't want to get caught up in the whirlwind, pyramid like the DOC. You want to be able to see where it is that the Most High wants you to be and lean into that direction. Okay, He will, by means of His protection, His correction, His direction, and His perfection, He will take you more easily, like a ship being blown by His winds. Okay, He will blow you by your sail. If you aim your sail in the direction that you see He's trying to take you in anyway, He will allow for you to glide more easily where you're supposed to end up anyhow, and things will always be better for you when you're in alignment with His will. Now, how do you find His will for your life? You turn away from leaning to your own understanding, and in all your doings you acknowledge the Lord thy God, and He shall direct your paths. So you begin to turn away from the desires of your own heart. You delight yourself in the Lord thy God, and He shall give you the desires of your heart. Meaning, He will help to redefine some of the things that you have come up with by the strength and power of your own flesh mind. You have come up with your own design for what you think is good and fine, for what you think is a good and expected end. But He knows the good and expected end for you. Okay? And again, you have not because you ask not. Have you asked Him what He wants you to do, as opposed to blindly and stubbornly following what you want to do? You have to give in your will in that respect. Okay? Now, again, you have, He allows you certain freedoms, and you know that He does. So don't cry about it. Okay? But don't lie about it neither. It's always best to see what it is that He has purposed for you, and to go in that direction, in that route, along that pathway. And it may not be the pathway that is popular, or in the beginning that's comfortable, but I guarantee you His yoke is easy and His burden is light. It will be much more comfortable for you than it will be to continue to fight against what's right. So yes, the turn, the tornado from the lathe, circular movement. A lathe is a machine for turning from the 14th century. Okay, a machine for use in working wood, metal, etc., that holds the material and rotates it about a horizontal axis against a tool that shapes it. And that is the origin of torn or turn, the lathe. Okay, some don't take good instruction or direction. Too many turns will twist them up. You have to be willing, if you want to end up chilling, you have to be willing to put aside what you're feeling in order to feel what the Most High is telling you is truly real. This is not always easy, okay, but He will make it easier for you. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So you ask the Lord to give you the strength. Some of you have seen the serenity prayer that people have on their walls and on plaques in the bathroom. Okay, you want the Lord to give you the strength to be able to change the things that you can, and to accept the things that you cannot change. Okay, and the wisdom to know the difference. And He will give you that. Again, you have not because you ask not, but if you ask, you shall receive. So don't be turned up for nothing. You have to turn the volume down sometimes. Realize what is within your volume. What are you filled up with? You also have to realize when you're turned up, you're unable to hear that still, small voice that the Most High often, by His choice, will speak to you through. if his voice came booming through like Orson Welles talking to Mork from Ork, you know, we all would be on the right track, and there would be no challenge in life. There would be no lessons to learn. We learn the lessons, and sometimes by some of the wrong directions in which we turn. And again, because your life is destined, even what appears to be a wrong direction or what appeared to have been a mistake was used to take you to your destiny. So look toward the hills from which cometh your help, and ask the Lord to give you some help, to help you to accept his will in your life, to help you to stop being so stubborn and rebellious. Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And to allow for you to not lean on the wisdom of man, which is foolishness to God. You will not be able to overstand the things of God by reading books and manuals. Okay, you can build a great deck, you can build a house, you can work on your car to a certain degree by reading books and manuals, but even then you'll come up against things that the books and the manuals can't help you with, or did not explain to you. It's experience, getting to know the Lord, having a one-on-one personal relationship, not just knowing the book of the Lord, but knowing the Lord of the book, that will give you the best look, and it will allow you to avoid the devil's left hook. Believe it. This has been Unplug 'em. Much love for him. Again, let Jeremiah 33:3 be your guide. In Hosea 4:8, when it says that our people perish for lack of knowledge, again, it's not the knowledge of college that it's talking about. You cannot learn God through ungodly men. Ungodly men write the books that are the authorities on things having to do with the Lord and religion and spirituality, and in general, they are people who do not even believe. So they have all of the intent and incentive to deceive, because they don't even realize that they have been taken over by fallen angels, by beings who don't wish for you to have a close personal relationship with the true and living Creator. So you ask, you cry out. You don't have to get specific when you're just asking the Lord for guidance. Okay, again, he's not OCD, and he's not a man that he should lie. His word is faithful and true. If you ask, he will reveal it unto you. But again, he is the Holy Spirit is a gentleman. He's not going to force you. Okay, you have a way to get to your end, and you can choose a million pathways, and you can incur a million headaches, bumping your head upside a wall. Or you can go to the great I am that I am, and he will reveal it all. He will show you. Okay, and again, he is no respecter of persons or men. He doesn't care for the learned any more than he does the illiterate. Okay, as a matter of fact, if there's any favor whatsoever, he favors the underdog. Okay, and it's not the underdog who's able to read in books and to follow scholarly pursuits and get what the university has to say concerning the realities of the Lord. Okay, it is the average person who goes through average things, the common, the humble, the impoverished, that the Lord fights for us all through Psalms. I didn't write the book, I'm just telling you what it says. Because it's the kings of the earth that go the other way. They hide the books and they hoard the books and they approve what the books say. They are the ones who use the books in order to contact the spiritual beings with whom they have a contract. And I'm not against books. I'm not against the scholarly pursuit. It's great when you're trying to learn how to bake a cake or cook some soup. But when you're trying to realize what's really true, when you're trying to get closer to the God and the spark of him that he placed inside of you, you ain't gonna get it from no book. I'm sorry. Because that would be cheating the game. That would mean that those who are able to go to better colleges and universities and who have better school systems will have more access to God. I've said that a number of times, a number of ways. I don't know what makes it so hard. But again, it is by humbling yourself, becoming like a child, and letting the Father instruct you. And that is the truth. Ruth, believe it. God will show you the proof. This is Unplugging. Peace.